the clerk to please call roll.
Adams,
Here.
Bartlett,
Here.
Cook,
Here.
Hopkins,
Here.
O'Donnell,
Here.
Scott,
Here.
Wankle,
Here.
Wormowski, Williams,
Here.
Mariucci,
Here.
Fishman,
Here.
Just real quick, I wanted to let the council know I received this, last week, this email, and I'll forward it all to you, but it says, "We are pleased to announce that the city of Jacksonville wastewater facility has been nominated for an award for the best operated wastewater treatment works to be presented by the Illinois Association of Water Pollution Control Operators. This award is presented to each of 5 categories, with the categories being separated according to facility size and treatment process type. Your facility has been nominated in the Group 1 category, and it was nominated for the award by the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency's Division of Water Pollution Control," which, that says a lot for them to nominate us. "The purpose of this annual award is to emphasize relationship, blah, blah, blah." But we are in we're up against 4 others. Naperville, Sangamon County, and Grant City. So those will be awarded in April, and they'll do a inspection team comes in when we don't know, and that's how you kind of get it rated. So I just want to let you guys know that. So
You won't have any inside
Yeah,
tip
we
on
did
that?
money.
Huh?
You won't have an inside tip when they show up?
I don't know. I would imagine I don't know. See, we've been, we've been trying to close our waste, or our landfill forever. And it gets frustrating that we can't get it done, but it's always nice when the IEPA helps us out and gives, some recognition. It's good. So you see Leland and Rick Herron, give him a handshake, and all the employees out there, so it's a pretty good thing. The item I have under the mayor's report is introduction and appointment to Ward 2 Alderman Jeff Lonergan, and that's Jeff down here. Jeff's a Jacksonville guy, Laura, his wife, Nick and Jennifer and grandkids, and Jeff's been around a long time, right? Probably class 81? 80? Okay.
That's 80.
Okay. So we'll swear Jeff in. You have anything, Jeff? You don't have to. I don't know if it's
Not really. Put you in a spot, huh?
yeah.
We're trying to prepare you.
Okay, Dan, you have
Yes.
something?
Well, it's not on the agenda. I wanted to kind of update you a bit. From the Plans Commission last week, we had a discussion concerning recreational cannabis with the changes that have come in at the state level. Our early discussions with you seem to be giving us the green light at least to explore the possibility of dispensary and or a parlor, which is a separate facility from the dispensary where you can actually smoke marijuana or use whatever. They cannot be the same location and cannot be associated with a bar either. Discussions were good at the Plan Commission level, and out of that, while there's no formal action, their recommendation, or at least thought process, was obviously if there's going to be an allowance for those types of facilities in town, it must be in the B classification zoning, the business zoning classification. The B1 zoning, in their view, was not appropriate. Neighborhood business district where it could be out in a residential area. On the other hand, B3 clearly would seem to be appropriate. And the way that those classifications work, if it's allowed in the B3, then it'll be allowed in the B4. If it's allowed in B2, it's allowed in B3 and B4. They recommended that certainly B3 would be an appropriate classification with a special use permit, so there could be some control over hours, operation and parking and things like that. Where they didn't necessarily have any dispute, but wanted to leave it more up to the council rather than them have to make a recommendation, was at the B2 zoning classification, which is basically the downtown area. And there's pros and cons for whether you would want either a dispensary downtown or a parlor downtown. And we're in the process of getting a couple of other ordinances to take a look at to see how they're handling it. ordinances where there currently is a medical marijuana dispensary such as over in Quincy, to see how they're handling it both from a zoning standpoint, what kind of distances, if any, they have. For example, you can't have it within so many feet of the school or so many feet of the church or something like that. So it's just something to be thinking about. You may want to take a look at the B2 classification of the zoning ordinance, get your thoughts on that. While I haven't finalized this with Kelly, in order to keep this moving, what I'm suggesting is that we have a more formal discussion with more participation at the next council meeting. In the meantime, if I can get some ordinances, I'll get them emailed out to you, with the idea that based upon that discussion, we would come back with the first meeting in October with an ordinance. And obviously the first decision is, are you going to allow dispensaries and or parlors in Jacksonville? And if so, what zoning classifications do you want to change to allow them in certain areas of town? Questions at all? Okay, we'll have more for you at the next meeting, and as I say, take a look at the B2 classification and see if it was B2 again. I think it would certainly be with the special use, so you can impose some restrictions.
I actually do have a question.
Yes.
So we have a restriction currently, I believe it's state law, that you can't smoke in buildings, you have to be so many feet away from an entrance. You can't smoke in bars. So would a parlor then allow people to
think-
smoke in, or I'm assuming marijuana?
Yes, and I think it's gonna be more akin to what they have done like with a cigar shop, where you can smoke in those areas. It's specifically set up for smoking. And I think that's the way it will be. The state's still in the process of putting together some information that, for example, I just read today, where some of the facilities, I should say, some of the problems companies are going into and trying to locate where they may place a dispensary or a parlor is that they may want to have two in a certain area. And you can't have a second location, either of your own or a competitor, within 1,500 feet of an existing. So that's creating some problems. I'm not sure that we're gonna have, I don't know how many applications we're gonna have. That could be an issue in the downtown area. But state law is gonna prevent two within being of 1,500 feet of each other. So it's still kind of a moving target, but we'll get as much information to you as we can. Okay, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Jeff, in looking at this, they will make arrangements for visiting the facility, okay, to answer your question, so. it's
Hey,
not-
I read your
it's not-
email, man, okay?
All right. All right. Jeff, you wanna do public protection tonight, or? no?
Discuss the disposition of surplus property. Was that from the utilities?
Chief said.
Chief, okay.
What we're looking to do is the two apparatus that we're replacing, we'd like them declared as surplus property so we can start the process of getting them moved out.
What apparatuses are those?
It's the 99 Pierce Heavy Rescue and the 91 E1.
There's no other use for those?
Not really, no.
Okay.
The 99, we would like to start the process of putting it out for a sealed bid with a minimum bid of 30,000 accepted on that one. And then the 91, we had discussed in the past about making a donation to a local department that might be in need of a pumper.
I think that's fair.
Questions? Any public comment at this time? Okay, we will adjourn and then go into the video.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call first, yeah. Okay, we'll, roll call, please.
Adams,
Here.
Bartlett,
Here.
Cook,
Here.
Hopkins,
Here.
O'Donnell,
Here.
Scott,
Here.
Wankel.
Here.
Wormowski.
Here.
Williams. Mayor Izzett.
Here.
City Attorney Beard.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, now we will do the swearing in.
Yeah, just alter the agenda a bit to go ahead and swear Jeff in at this stage so he can take part in the rest of the meeting. First of all, there'd be a motion. Andy has made the appointment. You have the ability to give advice and consent, so we need a motion and a second to approve that appointment.
Alderman Wankel, second by Alderman Cook.
And a voice vote on that is okay.
Yeah. All those in favor of appointing Jeff Lonergan to Ward 2 Alderman, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. There.
I gotta read this. You don't have to.
Okay.
Just raise your right hand and repeat after me, Jeff, please. I, Jeff Lonergan,
I, Jeff Lonergan,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that as Alderman of Ward 2
that as Alderman of Ward 2
for the city of Jacksonville, Illinois,
for the city of Jacksonville, Illinois,
I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of Alderman Ward 2
of Alderman Ward 2
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Sign right there. That's it.
All right, thank you.
You're official.
And I'd ask the clerk to please call roll again.
Adams.
Here.
Bartlett.
Here.
Cook.
Here.
Hopkins.
Here.
Lonergan.
Here.
O'Donnell. Scott.
Here.
Wankel.
Here.
Wormowski.
Here.
Williams. Mayor Izzard.
Here.
City Attorney Beard. You still have, huh? I already did him. He was in the middle.
Is there a reading of the minutes this evening?
Looks like Mr. Beard left.
Alderman Hopkins, second by Alderman Large Old Nettle. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Presentation of petitions
We have none.
and any communications.
We have none of those either. And the
Claims
claims are in the hands of the alderman.
Is there a motion tonight to pay claims? Alderman Cook, second by Alderman Aaron Scott. All those in favor of paying claims, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Mayor's report. Item 2 is the reappointment of Sean McCombs to the Public Building Commission, term to expire July 1st, 2024. And is there a motion to reappoint Mr. McCombs? Alderman Large Old Nettle, second by Alderman Aaron Scott. All those in favor of reappointing Sean, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's it. Item number 3 is a resolution approving donation to the Jacksonville Promise, and we have with us Dr. Sheaf, and he's eloquently given a presentation. It's just his request now. His original request was for $10,000. Last year we gave the Jacksonville Promise $1,000. Is there any discussion? We haven't plugged in a number on the resolution. It's up for discussion on however the aldermen feel about the donation to the Jacksonville Promise this year. And if you recall, it's a Dot Foods donating, or they're going to match whatever we give. It's a government match, right, Doctor?
Up to 10,000.
Up to 10,000. So if you want to give another 1,000, or if you want to go a little higher, and wiggle room, or you want to go 10,000. The appropriate funding source, I believe, would be out of the gaming receipts like we usually do. I think that's got a balance, and I feel that would be the way to go as far as grabbing the money from the gaming receipts, because always in my eyes, though, that money's been used towards projects or economic development. So we'll open the floor up. Do you have any questions or?
I was gonna say, I've been out for the last couple sessions. Has there been any open discussion on an amount? Okay.
We talked basically about the same amount as we donated last year, which was $1,000.
Okay.
We could entertain the prospect of $2,500. That would be, I think, enough to cover one scholarship. And then with the match, that would be 2 scholarships.
I think we have to be careful when we start giving out these donations to various organizations. And I'm not against Jacksonville Promise at all. But I think we'll open up a can of worms for other organizations to come to this council, this body, and ask for funding also. And, you know, I don't know that our tax dollars need to be spent in that manner. When I looked at some of the communities in Illinois that have the Promise, none of them have government funding. Most of it's all done by corporations and private individuals. And I just want to caution the council about opening up this can of worms here.
Well, it's already been proposed from last year, and I say we at least match the last year's amount. And if we wanted to double that, that would be 2,000. So, I mean, I would think that we should at least put some of the tax dollars back into the citizens that could possibly be here. So I would definitely approve the 1,000 that we, from last year, but we could double it, and that would be appropriate for me as well.
And I think it's important to keep in mind, if you decide to use it for gaming revenues, there is a distinction between those public funds and tax dollars, because then you're not taking taxpayers' direct payments to use for the Promise, which I know a lot of you are concerned with. With something like that, that is tax on coming in from the state, is a little bit different. So.
Where'd the money come from last year?
I don't know. Probably. I don't even know. Probably.
It came out of the city funds.
It came out of city funds.
I know I talked with our treasurer, and we needed to define it. Last year was the first time we've given the Promise money, and we needed to get more defined on where we're going to get the money, and that's why we kind of collectively thought that the gaming receipts would be the way to go. So.
Where's the money from to fund the Morgan County CEO grant come from then?
Good question. I don't know. Probably we need to take that out of the game too, I would imagine. I don't know, Steve.
Do you know?
Well, we need a motion on some dollar amount. Oh, doctor, yes, sorry.
Would it be appropriate for me to just restate the thesis by which we're asking for these funds briefly? It's our feeling that we're really the only charity in town that could come to you and say that this is, what we're asking for is actually a return on investment type of thing for you. Several of the students last year actually attested that because of the Jacksonville Promise, they elected to stay in town locally rather than going to another university somewhere else in the state. We know that if students go to another university somewhere, that there is an 80% chance they'll stay within 100 miles of that university when they go on for a career. And we also know that students that have gone through District 117 and live in this area and go to school locally, at least we know from Illinois College alumni, that 76% of them stay in Morgan or Cass County. So my own figures last year when I presented this were that about $40,000 a year was going to come back to the town in the form of increased tax revenue based on the number of students in excess that stayed here. We presented a economic study done by Western Illinois University last month here that looked at it a little differently. They looked at all the students that received Jacksonville Promise help and showed that hundreds of thousands of dollars are poured into the economy from the Jacksonville Promise students, but many of those, I think the fallacy in that analysis was that many of those students would have stayed here locally anyway. So my analysis was based on a quarter of the students having changed their minds. Whether it's $10,000 or $40,000 or $80,000 that comes back to the town in the form of tax revenues, it is tens of thousands of dollars that is coming back to you. And the only way that the Jacksonville Promise is going to continue to grow and increase its benefits to students and continue to provide an economic stimulus to this town is if we can get government support. And so our thesis is that the government should be willing to put some of those tax dollars back into the Jacksonville Promise and help us to grow this program for the future. Thank you.
Doctor, have you approached any other government entity about donations?
Any other government entities?
Yes.
I approached the county commissioners last year. I haven't been back to them with the latest study from Western. It's on my to-do list. I also intend to approach South Jacksonville and Murrayville and other towns that are benefiting from the Jacksonville Promise.
If I could say one thing that, just like looking out in the crowd, there's a lot of new faces here, people who don't usually come to city council meetings, and I know they're all from Ward 5, or most of them are from Ward 5. And I saw an email that Dr. Sheaf sent out today, and there were like 263 people on the contact list, and I bet about half of those people on that list are from Ward 5. And I gave $100 last month, and I would like to see everyone on the city council give $100. And then if the three citywide elected officials chip in a $250, that'd be a third scholarship we can give. So with the match, so I'd like to make a motion that we do the $2,500 level, which would be fully funding one scholarship, and then the Tracy family match would make it for 2 scholarships for people in the community.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor for $2,500. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Alderman Brandon Adams. Discussion?
At this stage, we go ahead and read the resolution with the $2,500 plugged in with the idea that if that doesn't pass, we try a different figure, whether it's strictly Robert's Rules of Order or not. I know you want to get something done. So, be resolved that by the mayor and the city council, that the city make a donation to Jacksonville Promise, the amount of $2,500.
Discussion? Yeah, when we gave to the CEO last year and then to this, that was the first time. So does the council agree that it should come out of the game receipts? Maybe you don't agree and maybe it should just come out of the regular budget.
If it's coming out of the gambling money,
Yeah.
that's a lot different, as Dan said, than the tax dollars. And that's the opposition that I hear from some constituents is they don't want to use tax dollars. But if it's coming out of that gambling money, that's kind of a different little twist there.
That'd be. Okay.
Yeah, Attorney Beard, if you want to consider it, I'm not making a motion to amend the placeholder.
Right.
Right.
Got a resolution on the floor for $2,500 donation.
Okay, seeing no further discussion, I'd ask the clerk to please call roll.
Adams.
Yes.
Bartlett. Yes. Cook.
Yes.
Hopkins.
Yes.
Lonergan.
Yes.
Odenettle.
Abstain.
Scott.
Yes.
Wankel.
Yes.
Wormowski? Yes. Williams? Yes. Motion passes.
Very good. Thank you, Alderman. Thank you. Okay. City Clerk's report?
The items on the city clerk's report were presented to you via email. If there's any questions on any of the four, please give me a call or stop by the office to try to explain them. Jeff, if you need to.
Okay, consent agenda items tonight. Finance, IT, and Personnel. Alderman Cook.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have two items tonight. The first one is a resolution authorizing payment from the Capital Improvement Fund for certain improvement projects. And the second item is a resolution authorizing payments from the General Fund for services rendered.
Public Protection. Alderman Hopkins.
Yes. Resolution authorizing disposition of surplus property.
Okay. And Utility. Alderman Wonkel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One item tonight, resolution authorizing payments from the Waterworks and Sewage Project Fund for services rendered improvement projects, and I so move.
Is there a second under the consent agenda? Alderman Bartlett? You've heard the items under the consent agenda. Is there any wish to pull for further discussion? Seeing none, I would ask the clerk to please call roll.
Bartlett? Yes. Cook?
Yes.
Hopkins?
Yes.
Lonergan?
Yes.
O'Donnell?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Wonkel?
Yes.
Wormowski? Yes. Williams? Yes. And Adams.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good. Is there any public comment at this time? Okay, any old business at this time? New business? I've got two items. There's two ceremonies coming up. One at noon on Wednesday and one at 5 o'clock on Wednesday for the 9/11 ceremonies downtown. So you're all invited. The other one publicly, I want to thank Sarah Hataller and Terry Chumley and the city crew that did the wall memorial over the Labor Day weekend. That was really well, yeah, well attended. That's why we did the downtown, for events like that. So we very appreciative, and the suicide prevention program last Thursday night was very good too. Very, very well done. So, okay, any other new business? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn at this time? Alderman Cook, seconded by Alderman Hopkins. We are adjourned.